All right, good morning. Hey, we're back. And so, true to form, this is technology and it's been giving me a fit this morning, but I think we're ready. So, if you have questions about real estate and you're here in the Hershey, Lebanon, Lancaster, um, Lebanon County, Lancaster County, Dauphin County market, we're here with the real estate facts. I'm John Tice. I'm with Hanna Real Estate here in the Hershey office. I'm sitting here with Katie Shellenberger, our current office manager here in the Hershey office.
Yes.
And we were brainstorming the other day what would be helpful to the marketplace if you watch the news, and we deal with it all the time. Zillow said, I saw this on the news. One thing about real estate, it's all local. And you're in luck, because so are we. The two of us are local brokers. We work for Hanna here in the Hershey market. And we thought it'd be fun to share some of our knowledge with you. So when we come out for that appointment and talk about selling your home, you already have some idea of who we are or the facts that we're going to bring to you and how we see the market. And that's the show for today. That's the idea of the show. So,
With multiple topics over the next few weeks.
That's right. And so we made a list of topics,
Where'd you put it?
and we'll be bringing that to you as long as my battery holds out. It's a little cool, and my battery got cold on the way in here this morning, so it's acting a little funky. We may get cut off again. But Katie, tell us a list of the topics and some of the thoughts that we have for these folks so they know who you are. Tell us,
Well, my name is Katie Shellenberger.
There you go.
I've been in this business for almost 7.5 years now. I just became a broker 2019, became manager in June of this year. And today's topic is pretty much going to be about location. You know the saying, location, location, location.
And some people don't think that's important right now. We're watching anything sell anywhere for the most part.
It's super important.
But if you're in this for the long haul, and I assume that you are if you bought a home, you're going to be looking somewhere down the road to sell it. I guarantee you that's when it's going to be important. This market will not last forever. How long will it last? Nobody knows. There's a lot of opinions. I have a few myself, which is the point of our show. And but someday it's going to become important to you.
Yeah, when you go to resell. If you're out with a buyer, the first thing I say to them is like, how would you feel about having to resell in the same location?
And who discovered this recently? Zillow. Zillow was running around with their iBuying program. They've been in the news now for months. Their iBuying program was, we're going to reach out to you, and based on our algorithm, we're going to value your property, and we're going to buy it, we're going to flip it, and make a lot of money. Well, they've just abandoned their iBuying program completely, laid off a quarter of the staff of Zillow, a company that's based on showing values of homes, and they screwed it up. Their own CEO sold his home about 6 years ago for 30% less than his own zestimate in his own company. Now, I'm all about transparency, but if I owned that company, I think I would have had my staff go in there and change that visual that's going out to the world at all cost, because the other cost is they lost a lot of credibility over 6 years ago when that home sold for so much less than their own zestimate. So when I come to your house and you say, but Zillow said, actually that's when the trouble will begin. So we believe it's local. We're bringing you local real estate facts, and that's the name of our show.
On Thursdays.
On Thursdays. So, and we'd love to have your input and some questions. So at any point, feel free to private message us either during the show.
Comment.
That's right. Certainly appreciate your comments. But tell us something you'd like to see in a future show, because we made a list and it's more like the pirate code. It's more like guidelines
Right.
of where we're going to go with this. Katie's been licensed, you said 7 years?
Almost 7.5.
Yeah. I'm into my 42nd, 43rd year, maybe 44, 78, 20. So 44, licensed as a broker since 1983. I'd love to say I've seen it all, but my favorite statement is just when you think you've seen it all, I'll walk into someone's home and go, wow, I can't believe they did that. And that can be good, bad, or otherwise.
Or ugly.
But we know one thing to be true. Real estate, it's always been location, 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 and that will be the topic of our show today. Like Katie has her little list here.
That
What
I'm
do you
supposed to
have?
be able to read. We have career in real estate. If you're moving up, if you're gonna do like a buy before you sell, if you're gonna go from renting to owning.
Not only the buy before you sell, but buy before you sell is a program we have that makes it very powerful for you to buy another property without selling your home if you have equity. And right now, if you've owned this home more than a year, you have equity. But it's an easy way to make you competitive with a pre-approval that says, I don't need to sell my home to buy yours. Makes it simple, much simpler for you to move without the sale of your property or control that sale, which everybody wants to do. Nobody wants to move twice, so it helps you with that one.
Right.
And we do it at very competitive rates and a very streamlined process of folks that have been using it successfully with me the last year or two, thrilled to death. We've used it for a very short period of time, and it is designed for a shorter period of time, but not 6 days, might be 6 months. But it's one of our great tools. What else do you have?
To inspect or not to inspect?
That is the question. So,
It's a scary proposition.
do you have to drop everything to buy a house? Well, maybe yes, maybe no. We do believe that's changing right now. Inspectors that I've talked to are getting busier. And so there's a little more flexibility being built into deals. And people are negotiating, not in every house, but in some, for repairs. And again, topics of future shows.
Mortgages, what's the best mortgage for you? Even as a seller, when you're presented offers, what is, what to be scared of, what not to be scared of, things like that. But then also as a buyer, what's best for you and the market in a sense.
And then the number one question today, what the heck's an appraisal gap? And that'll be a future show for you also. So some of the topics we have in mind, I know we haven't really scratched the surface on all the things that we could talk about. We're going to be coming to you from different locations because it won't always be snowing and my batteries won't always be cold and dying. But we'd love to come out and we'll do some things on location, maybe new homes under construction. Who knows? But we're going to be popping up all over the place because since Wi-Fi is so mobile and all are my tools, I am the mobile guy. I do love all the tools. So with that one, let's talk a little bit today about
location.
What a great idea. Well, what the other point, there are 3 top points in buying your home.
Location.
And then the last one.
Location.
Of course. So right now, I'm finding a lot of things that some of the investors are buying anything, anywhere. They're, in many cases, in my mind, over-improving them, and someone's buying them. And like an appraisal friend told me the other day, he said, John, there's comps out there. And that's true. What I'm trying to understand is this a temporary glitch, or is this a long-term new thing? Yeah. At the end of the day, location has always mattered. We were just talking this morning about a sale that is in the news right now, just took place in San Francisco. If you watched the news this morning, you might have seen it. How about a home boarded up, 0 bedrooms, and listed as worst house on the best street in San Francisco? And it just closed at $1.9 million, $1.97 million.
So money.
When you look at that and you say, oh, who would do that? Well, I don't claim to know the San Francisco market. If I wanted to know it, I'd certainly figure it out. But when you look around Derry Township, and we have some numbers here that we're going to be digging into, we'll touch on them today, but in the future, we'll be coming back and taking this market apart a little more and give you the best local information we can. But when you see a home sell at $385,000 on Elm Avenue here in Hershey, and they tear it down, and it becomes a $1.8 million home, is it so strange? of what they might do in San Francisco. Not at all. It's happening locally. It's happening in more locations. Again, same appraisal friend that I met yesterday morning. A home on 4 acres recently sold. It was kind of a contemporary home, $400,000. You'd say, well, okay. They tore it down. This is in Lebanon County. This is not on Elm Avenue in Hershey, but 400, they tore it down. That's the price of a 4-acre building lot in that community. So between the two of us, we've seen a few of these things. We're both active in sales. Katie less now that she's stepped into the management role,
Right.
but she's certainly keeping her fingers in it. And me a little more since I stepped down from management a few years ago, decided to get a little more community oriented and go back into sales to be that, just to control my schedule a little more. So we've got all those things going on here between us.
Yeah.
So any location stories that you have here for us, good, bad, or otherwise? What should people look out for when they're looking at location?
I think if you're a buyer, you want to pay attention to the school district. As a real estate agent, I can't tell you anything about the school districts. It's pretty much up to you to do the research online and see what you see, but that's super important.
And we do know that it's one of the criteria in this market locally, more than other markets, that people really trigger on when they decide to buy a property. In dealing with the multi-list organizations that I have over the years, when they come in to set up our systems, everyone in the room says, oh, school district has to be a primary criteria for search. That isn't true everywhere else. So locally, and good for you, people are very concerned about the quality of the schools they're sending their children to. Apparently, it's not the criteria everywhere else. Locally, it's very big. Is it important today? Well, people are making a lot of accommodations when they're out there buying.
They are compromising, is what I would say.
Yeah, they are compromising, and because they're anxious to get a house. Did I mention when you go to sell that house, it could be important in the future? So watch when you're out there buying. Don't be overly anxious to grab something. Thing I've learned this last year and a half, at the end of the day, if you're diligent about following through and shopping and going after what you want, the majority of my buyers have ended up buying the home they want in the location that they want under the terms that they want. The price may have moved up a little more because of the bidding and the competition that's out there and what you need to get a house. But they've managed to get the rest of their criteria. And I'm talking about people that wrote 6 contracts before they got one house. And on the 6th contract, they ended in the neighborhood, the school district, the style, and the terms that they wanted. When I say terms, I mean the overall payment. We were able to pull all those things together in one transaction for her. And we all stood around and said, oh my gosh, and that's the one that got accepted. So don't give up on the home that you want.
It will present itself, in my theory.
You know, the old adage, things work out in the end. If they didn't work out, it wasn't the
meant
end.
to be.
Yeah. So
simply not meant to be.
So those are kind of the approaches that we want to take here.
I have a question for you, though. Like, since you've been in this business for so long, and you buy in this type of market, and you're at the height of the market, like, what is the trend of, like, will that value hold over 5 years? And I don't mean like 2008, the market took a tank. So a lot of people lost a lot of money on their homes, I being one of them. But if that's not the case right now, if you're spending $30,000 more than what that home was 5 years ago, in 5 years, if that was your first home and you need to sell it, will you get it? That's what a lot of people ask.
It's a great question. Well, it's a great question, and I might be old, but I don't have all those answers. However, the one thing I do know, the people that I trust and follow are all expecting appreciation to continue for the next 5 years. And they're expecting rates to remain low. The only thing that can really derail this right now is that ugly word, inflation. And inflation is starting to kick in. What is going to be the end result? Well, in 1978, when I bought my home, inflation ran away, unemployment ran away. Interest rates, they did more than ran away. They went straight through the ceiling. we had lenders that weren't even lending money at the time. They just completely went offline. Makes it tough to sell a house if you can't finance it. So many owners started to finance, and we became very skilled at drafting those agreements between buyers and sellers, and what became owner financing. Many of the rules about that have changed, so it's not the same market it was then. However, the rest of the dynamics are kind of ripe for that to happen, and inflation was the one that really kicked it off. So if I have money to invest and I want to put it into a CD, we're all cheering for inflation, get those rates up. The downside is it affects everything else, and so mortgages go up and car payments go up and everything goes up. So that 5-year crystal ball, let's put it this way. Would you rather finance your purchase at 3%, roughly the rate that's out there today, kind of an average, or would you rather finance at 100%?
3.
You like 3 better?
I like 3 better.
So who pays 100%? It's not a trick question. It's actually one of the main motivators that people are buying houses right now, because rent is 100% interest. You get nothing out of it. You don't even get a tax deduction for it. You do get a place to live. So I always love the comments, oh, I'm going to just rent because it's a much better deal than buying. Is it really?
No.
My own son, with his MBA, who has always made that argument, Dad, why would we buy? Renting is a better deal, simply because he wasn't sure where he wanted to be long term. And that generation likes to be footloose, and I get that. So he buys a house in 2021, and I said, well, you know, he called to talk about it, and I was happy to help him. He's in Portland, Oregon, one of the hottest markets that there is. And how do you price a house out there? Well, you get your dartboard out, and you start throwing the darts, because they're going $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 over list price. And we're not talking at $30,000 or $100,000 home. These are $500,000 homes. So when you're negotiating 10 to 15% over list on what is a very average house for that market, 1,000 square foot rancher with no basement, with 1-car garage, you know, you take that appreciation very seriously. And he saw it's still the best hedge for him is to buy a property under these current terms, because the other thing that was going on, his rent was going up.
Yes.
And it's harder to find a replacement rental out there than it is to go buy a house, believe it or not. So he didn't want to be in a position where he had to go out and find another rental, because the home he was in was really primed for tearing down and being a rebuild. And that's a whole story in itself. When you see what's going on in those neighborhoods. But that's what we're talking about. That's that cost comparison. If you owned a home the last 2-3 years, congratulations.
Yeah.
I'm looking at my home.
I'm happy.
And I'm saying, oh my gosh, my home hadn't appreciated ever at 18 or 20%. Who's that guy running at around 20% the last 2-3 years running? This guy. Still hard for me to grip. I can value everybody else's houses, but I look at mine, it's like, oh, really?
Mine took quite a jump. I enjoy it.
But it's that old thing, well, if their house brought that,
right?
my house went up too. When the tide comes in, all boats rise. So congratulations, you've got equity, which opens the door for so many things we're talking about. So we'll be looking at sales stats, which is one of our occupational hazards. We both are a little analytic in nature, but we're looking at stuff that occurred. How about this one? I have stats for all the Dairy Township homes that have gone through our MLS system that have sold in 2020
and 2021.
Thanks.
No problem.
And it's fascinating to see that when you look at January of 2020, the sold median price $267. When you looked at December of 2020, when all the fuss began and we were locked down, and you already know the story, the median finished the year at $337. So $267 to $337 is $60,000. A quick 20% bump. You look at the next year, again, that went $288, finished the year at 338.
It's a
So,
little higher.
you know, it's kind of odd, but sometimes the better deals are made this time of year. There's fewer buyers out there. Of course, these last 2 years and today, people are waiting for the bubble to burst, the bottom's going to fall out,
Yep.
the deals are going to be there. I would argue this is the market, this is the time to buy. It's also the better time to sell because we're looking at properties that closed in those months. That means those deals were made 60 days prior. So if you want to sell your home and have no competition, you put it on here because January was 288, but by March, the median went to 320. So those were new deals made that quarter, so 320, and you finished the year at 338, a much more narrow gap.
Yeah.
We know the inventories are low right now. We know buyers are out there. We're seeing the multiple offers once again. The homes are going off in a matter of days, certainly depending on your price range, which is the thing that Zillow can't adjust for. None of the
None of the
algorithms
automated
are good.
value will do that.
And so maybe that's where your local agent comes in. It brings local data, knows the house. We've been in the homes. We know the neighborhoods. We can discuss location or what the trend is. And that's what we'd like to bring to you along with all the other things that that we do on a daily basis in marketing and the things that really set us apart and do things differently.
I agree.
So that's the overall thrust of what we want to do. I don't know, where are we for time?
It's 10:58.
It's 10:58.
It's 10:58.
So our 10-minute show went a little longer because we had some tech issues. But we're hoping that you join us in the future. Drop us a line, send us some questions. We'd love to see what we can do to give you the best local answer that we can. It's what I've done every day for the last 40-some years, is to come in and bring you the best local answer for your home, style of your home, your school district, your neighborhood, your community, South Central PA, whatever it might be, all the factors that influence it. And then we add in that national layer of what everybody's doing out there, what the guys in DC are doing, where the rates are going, because we live this every day. And my favorite upcoming topic, because I just loved the way it sounded, to inspect or not to inspect,
Yes.
That's the question. May not be next week's topic, but we'll push that out. You'll know what we're getting into. And again, we'd love your questions. We'd love your feedback. Appreciate the folks that are watching with us this morning. And this will be archived and we'll be sending it out. But send us a message. And otherwise, as you can tell, I don't have a problem talking for.
The more interactive y'all make it, the better this can be, is what I would say to that.
Yeah, I already know the information. I'd like to share it with you and make it as helpful to you as possible. And if you're new to the home buying experience and you have a question like, do I need money?
That depends.
What are closing costs? Are people paying closing costs? We'll have those answers for you too.
Absolutely.
So everybody, hashtag Real Estate Facts. I'm John Tice.
Katie Shellenberger.
And we're here to help you any way we can. Reach out to us because home happens here. And welcome to 2022, and let's see what happens next in the real estate market. Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Stay safe, stay warm. Watch out. I guess the snow stopped.
Yeah,
So
stop. I don't
so
know
much
why we
for
didn't
the
have school today.
so much for the blizzard and all the delays.
Virtual day of school.
It's just fun. See you next time.